Hi, this is Cia Rodriguez with another chapter for the CEH review questions. Chapter 5, it's about attacking a system. Again, this is another chapter in this series of practice questions for the Certified Ethical Hacker Certification. Please remember that this in more like this uh, are on my YouTube channel. I would appreciate if you give it a like, leave a comment if you like this type of uh, material, right, to prepare for this exam and other exams, and also just to keep me motivated to do this kind of stuff for free in YouTube. All right, so in this module, we are going to cover these topics, describe the CH hacking methodology and system hacking steps, describe methods used to gain access to systems, describe methods used to escalate privileges, describe methods used to maintain access to systems, describe methods of evidence erasure, identify rootkit functions and types, and identify basics of Windows and Linux file structure, directories, and commands. Question number 1. You are examining text logs from the day's pen test activities and note the following entries. And this is on a entries on a Windows 10 machine. Which of the following statement is true regarding this entry? A, the team member added a user account. B, the team member switched his login to that of a different user. C, the team member changed the password of a user. Or D, the team member renamed a user account. Try to, as we go along, try to answer these questions before we get to the answer, just to have an idea how prepared you are for the certification exam. If you answer uh, C, then you were correct. The team member changed the password of a user. And obviously, to answer this type of questions, you need to understand how to use the net user command. In this example, the net user command lists all users on the machine. Next, the team member used the net user username password command, where username equates to the user to update, and password is the password set for the user. Also, in this example, the user1 had his password updated to user2. And this kind of things may happen only in an exam. They may try to trick you to see if you know the order of the operands in the command. Other net user options include add, delete times, and active. Net commands run in the security context that you are logged on as. So ensure that you're actually an administrator on the machine before attempting many of them. Net commands have many other uses. For example, net view will display systems in the workgroup. Net use lets you create, connect to, and display information on shared resources. Net share will list all the shares that the user has access to. And net start allows you to start a service. It's a very good command, and this is the type of commands that it's in the cybersecurity world referred to as living of the land. So these tools are great for a for an administrator, But on the security side, they are very dangerous because they are part of the operating system, right? There's nothing to install, so they're not, in most cases, this tool are not detected. Some examples. So again, if you, I just tried the net user on this system, and it gives me a list of the accounts on this computer, so I can easily see all the accounts. And by looking at it, this is, it looks like an admin account, which is a gold mine. Like if you are a malicious user, right? Another good command is the net local group. Here you have a list of all the groups in this computer. And then if you expand this, you can say here like net local group and then the administrators, and then you see who are the members of the administrator. And this is what cyber criminals look for, this account, because these accounts have the key to the kingdom, right? If you gain access to a domain admin account, then you don't have to do any escalating of privileges, right? Because basically you can do anything you want. You own the network, right? The net share, I can list all the shares in this computer. Like here, I don't have, the only shares that I have, the administrative shares that you can use in Windows. So any administrator could, or if you have the privileges, the credential of an administrator, you could access everything. You could access the C drive, you could access, everything on this computer. So very important to understand those. Question number 2. Amanda works as a security administrator for a large organization. She discovers some remote tools installed on a server and has no record of a change request asking for them. After some investigation, she discovers an unknown IP address connection that was able to access the network through a high-level port that was not closed. The IP address is first traced to a proxy server in Mexico. Further investigation shows the connection bounced between several proxy servers in many locations. Which of the following is the most likely proxy tool used by the attacker to cover their tracks? And the correct answer here is C, a Tor proxy. Okay, there are many ways to do this kind of things, but obviously, of the listed over here, the best answer is a Tor proxy, right? So Tor, or the onion routing, here is the web page. If you want to learn more about it, it's a great resource there. Provides a quick and easy and really groovy way to hide your true identity when performing almost anything online. It's just basically a browser that you can download, and then you can do stuff anonymously. And yes, the criminals use this, but a lot of legitimate users, dissidents, lawyers, journalists, etc., use this, when they are doing stuff and they don't want to leave a trace. Tor protects you by bouncing your communications around a distributed network of relays run by volunteers all around the world. It prevents somebody watching your internet connection from learning what sites you visit, and it prevents the sites that you visit from learning your physical location. Without law enforcement and some serious network visibility, you'll probably be successful in tracking to the first hop only, but than that, because the different hops that you can track. But anyway, so Tor is dynamic by nature, and a hacker can simply use a different path for each attack. The question is really about identifying Tor as a means of covering tracks, and not necessarily a discourse on how it really works. Although it's really nice to know about Tor. Here is the page. The way that they announce Tor is basic for browsing privately. Anything that you look in Google or Edge or one of those browsers, everything is tracked. That's why you look for something, all of a sudden, everywhere you go, you get ads about those things. So uh, it, Google and Microsoft invades your privacy. So if you know, and by the way, although Tor has a really bad reputation, and it is certainly used by a lot of cyber criminals, but keep in mind that Tor is a government project. Tor was actually created, invented by the US government to communicate anonymously, especially the troops when they are, outside of the United States. So the government also, Tor is full of government agents and CIA and FBI and all that stuff also. So if you do anything in Tor, obviously I hope that you don't do anything wrong, but be careful what you do in Tor anyway. So that's my main point. Here I'm visiting my website, certtoday.com. I am doing this from Tor. I already installed and I launched Tor. And then notice how, first of all, there's a couple of things for security use, and you should always use HTTPS mode. But a Tor circuit, basically, this is what it is. Although I am connected from the United States, it bounced the connection first to Poland, and then it went to Germany, and then it went to the United States, and then it went to the site that I'm trying to visit. So for most people, for most users, right, it's impossible to know where this is coming from, right? The real thing. Now, obviously, the governments and the ISPs, they do have a way to, um, in some cases, get to this. I mean, it's not that easy, right? But they find people. They find people. But anyway, so from the point over here of the security, it's important that cybersecurity understands what Tor is used and how it works. So that's the point of the question. Now, other terms of there that are probably important to know, it's the Internet Security and Acceleration, or ISA server, which isn't designed to bounce between multiple proxies to obscure the original source. That's why, that those are not right. That those are not the right answers. ISA is this is access to Microsoft Proxy Server 2 and other versions, and provides the two basic services of an enterprise firewall and a web proxy or cache server. Those are the uses of this. ISO service firewall screen all packet level, circuit level, and application level traffic. The web cache is stored and serves all regularly accessed web content in order to reduce network traffic and provide faster access to frequently web pages. Um, the ISIS server also schedules downloads of web page updates for non-peak times, so that makes it more efficient. Another key term of here was the IAS, or the Internet Authentication Server, which is a component of servers that allows you to provide a remote authentication dial-in user service or radius connection to clients, and it is not designed as an obfuscating proxy. So its purpose in authentication. That's why this question, that choice was not right either. And so while you can set up a single proxy using Netcat, and it may even be possible to change several together, it is simply not designed to work that way. You can set up a listening port with it, but it's not designed to act as a proxy, and setting one up as a chain of proxy would be insanely complicated and unnecessary with the innumerable other options available out there where you can do that. Okay. Question number 3. The following hosts file was pulled during an incident response. Okay, this is interesting. Which of the following statements best describes the hosts file? A user on the machine attempting to go to check their bank account at mybank.com will be redirected to a Chinese IP address instead. B, a user on the machine attempting to go to google.com will receive an HTTP return code of 400. A user on the machine attempting to go to gmail.com will redirect to the local host. Or D, any DNS resolution to IP address 2220.181.0.16 will be redirected to one of the 5 sites listed in round robin fashion. The correct answer here it's A. Okay, a user on the machine attempting to go to their bank account, my bank.com will be directed to a Chinese IP address. Well, so if we look at this, basically, what this means is that when somebody go to a browser and type in this URL, it will be redirected to this IP address. Now, just by looking at that IP address, obviously you don't know that is a Chinese IP address. But if you go to, find my IP address or anything like that, there's a lot of, or who is, it will tell you that that IP address is registered, that block of IP address is registered to China. So that's why that's the correct answer over there. Okay. So, uh, before any Windows system even bothers to check DNS for an IP matching a name request, it checks the host's file first. For example, when the user types, in this case, .mybank.com in their browser and then presses enter, Windows checks the host's file to see if there is a mapping for mybank.com. If there is one, that's where the user will go. If there's not, Windows will ask DNS for an IP to use. Therefore, if you edit your own host's file, you can save yourself from lots of @stream sites and that kind of stuff. In this example, it appears that someone has gotten hold of this particular machine's host files and has edited to send some common URL request to a Chinese IP. You could set up your fake versions of these sites in order to grab credentials, for example. Maybe they just want a DOS the user, denial of service, right? In any case, any attempt to go to mybank.com or any of those other sites over there will immediately get redirected to the Chinese IP listed. By the way, so this is the location of the host's file. When you open this file, you need to open it with Notepad. And if you want to edit it, you should open Notepad as an administrator, or you have to, right? And then you look at this host files. And the content of the host file, it looks like this. It was funny because as I was actually doing this question, this is my own host file, and this basically means that it's a commented out, right? Comment, it doesn't, it's a comment, so it won't be applied. But in my case, this was not commented out. So basically means that this entry was there, right? And then I Google it up and it seems to be that that this is done automatically by some by some sites and stuff like that. So anyway, so I just disable that by putting a comment on it. But it's interesting how it's good to look at this now and then, because you don't know. So if your computer gets infected and they want to redirect your traffic to some site, this is a way of doing that. Okay. Question number 4. Which of the following opens the computer management MMC in a Windows command line? A, computer management.mmc. Well, it's not computer, but mgmt.mnc, command.exe, blah, blah, blah. The correct answer here is B. It's comp mgmt.msc. That's the correct answer. Microsoft Management Consoles can be used for a variety of tasks. Some of these MMCs include computer management, device management, event viewer, group policy editor, an Active Directory users and computers, and a whole bunch more, right? But those are very popular. Well, you can create your own custom MMC by just typing MMC in the command line and then using add remove snapping from the menu line. You can also just open the individual consoles themselves by using their MSC command line option. For example, computer management, uh, the computer management can be snapping for MNC, but you can open it by just typing this command, right? So that would open the computer management command. Others that you may want to know for future reference include the AD users and computers. So instead of just navigating and going to star and pros all that stuff, you just type in DSA.MSC, right? For device management, you just type def mgmt.msc. Event viewer is event vwr.msc, and the group policy editor would be gpedit.msc. And for the local security settings manager, you could just type in sec pol.msc. Okay. So actually, before I move on to the next question, I just wanted to. So I just uh, you know went to the run command and I open and just type in MMC and open this MMC console. This is what I'm talking about. So if you go to file and you go to add remove snap in, then here are all those snap ins that that we're talking about, right? So I could go this way, or I could just basically go into the run commands instead of open it from here. So this is an example of all those MMCs that we are talking about, right? So this is one way that I could do this. But at the same time, so if I'm not going to close this, but if I go to the run command, right? And I type, for example, and I type DSA that MSC, right? So this is a shortcut to open this. Instead of going and navigating to that, I can just go ahead and open that. That's basically what I was talking about in the previous question there. Question 5. Which of the following will extract an executable file from NTFS streaming? A, cat file. Well, I'm not going to read those files over there, but the answer is A. Okay. Obviously, you need to understand what NTFS streaming is in order to answer a question like this. So the cat command will extract the executable directly into the folder that you execute the command from. NTFS file streaming allows you to hide virtually any file behind any other file, rendering invisible to directory searches. The file can be a text file to remind you of the steps to take when you turn to the target, or even an executable file that you can run at your leisure later. Alternate data stream, ADS, in the form of NTFS file streaming is a feature of the Windows native NTFS to ensure compatibility with Apple file systems called HFS. ADS and NTFS file streaming are used interchangeably. The cat command isn't available on a Windows 7 and Windows 10 machines natively. You could basically copy and install it there though, or you will need a Linux emulator or something like it to use the cat command. You can use something like this command over here, right? As another option. So this will read the output of the hidden stream and write it to the output.exe file without having to use cat. Question number 6. Which command is used on a Linux machine to allow all privileges to the user, read only to the group, and read only for all others to a particular file? So here we are making use of the CEH5 command, right? And read the choices, try to figure out what the answer is. But if you answer E, CEH5 744 file 1, then that's the correct answer. File permissions in Linux are assigned via the use of the binary equivalent of each RWX group. So read is equivalent to 4, write to 2, and execute to 1. To accumulate permissions, you add the number. So 4 is read only, 6 is read and write, and adding execute results in 7. So if you think in binary, the numbers are just as easy to define. 1, 1, 1 equates to 7 in decimal, and each bit turned on gives read, write, and execute, right? Kind of like full access in Windows, the Windows world. Setting the bits to 101 turns on read, turns off write, and then turns on execute, and its equivalent is it's 5. Question number 7. Examine the following password file. Okay, so important that you understand how to read this kind of screenshots for the exam to examine the content. There's definitely going to be several questions about this password file. Which of the following statements are true regarding this password file? Choose all that apply. A, none of the user account has passwords assigned. B, the system makes use of the shadow file. C, the root account password is root. D, the root account has a shadowed password. Or E, files created by Alicia will initially be viewable by JSON. The correct answers here are B, the system makes use of the shadow file. D, the root account has a shadowed password. And E, files created by Alicia will initially be viewable by JSON. Fields in the PASSWD or password file from left to right are as follows. Username. This is what the user types in as the login name. Each username must be unique. Password. If a shadow file is being used, an X will be displayed here. If not, you'll see an encrypted password in current OS versions, and only if you are root. As an aside, setting this to an asterisk is a method to deactivate an account. UID, the user identifier, is used by the operating system for internal purposes. It is typically incremented by 1 for each new user added. GID, the group identifier, identifies the primary group of the user. All files that are created by this user will normally be accessible to this group as well, unless a chmod command prevents it, which is the reason for the initial portion of the question. Geckos, this is a descriptive field for the user, generally containing contact information separated by commas. Home directory, this is the location of the user's home directory. Start a program This is the program that is started every time that the user logs in. It's usually a shell for the user to interact with the system. Question number 8. You are attempting to hack a Windows machine and want to gain a copy of the SAM file. Where can you find it? Choose all that apply. Okay. So where can you find that? In Windows, you can find her in, this is the main place, the Windows System 32 config directory, but you could also find it in the Windows repair directory. The Security Account Manager, or SAM, is a database that stores user accounts and security descriptors for users on the local computer. The SAM file can be found in C Windows System 32 config. A copy from System Restore can be found at Windows/repair. So here I am on one of my Windows server. And again, so if you navigate to C, Windows, System 32, and then config, this is where the SAM database is. And so on this computer, this local computer, this is where all the passwords are. Now the passwords are not actually stored, but you get a hash of the files of those passwords. And there are tools out there that if you gain access to this file, game's over, right? There's many tools out there that you can use to crack those passwords, right? And we talked about many times. That's why system physical security is so important. If someone gain physical access to this computer, then you own the box. Simple as that. Okay. So make sure you protect this SAM file, because again, I'll repeat it again. If you get access to this SAM file, you own this box. So and this is where it's located. Question number 9. Which of the following statements are true concerning Kerberos? Choose all that apply. A. Kerberos uses symmetric encryption. B. Kerberos uses asymmetric encryption. C. Client asks for authentication tickets from the KDC in clear text. D. KDC responses to clients never include a password. E. Clients decrypt a TGT from the server. And actually, these are all correct. So Kerberos uses symmetric encryption. Kerberos uses asymmetric encryption. Client asks for authentication. So this is correct. This is correct. And actually, this is correct as well. So the client asks for the authentication tickets from the KDC in clear text. It's not returned, but the client asks for it. So Kerberos makes use of both symmetric and asymmetric encryption technologies to securely transmit passwords and keys across a network. The entire process consists of a key distribution center, or KDC, an authentication service, AES, and a ticket granting service, TGS, and the ticket granting ticket, TGT. So the steps are as follows. 1, a basic Kerberos exchange starts with a client asking the KDC, which holds the AES and TGS, for a ticket, which will be used to authenticate throughout the network. This request is in clear text. Now, the server will never respond with a secret key, which is hashed by the password uh, kept on the server. Two, passwords are never sent, only the hashes and keys are sent, and this is known as the TGT. And three, the client then decrypts the message since it knows the password, and the TGT is sent back to the server requesting a TGS service ticket. And four, the server responds with the service ticket and the client is allowed to log on and access network resources. So if you are on a Windows network, on a domain controller, you're using Kerberos, those are the exchanges that your client, your Windows 10 computer, when you enter your username and password, obviously that happens very fast in the background and you don't, you have no idea all the stuff that's going on, but that's how it works. Question number 10. What is the difference between a dictionary attack and a hybrid attack? A. Dictionary attacks are based solely on word lists, whereas hybrid attacks make use of both word lists and rainbow tables. B. Dictionary attacks are based solely on whole word lists, whereas hybrid attacks can use a variety of letters, numbers, and special characters. C. Dictionary attacks use predefined word lists, whereas hybrid attacks substitute numbers and symbols within those words. And D. Hybrid dictionary attacks are the same. The correct answer is actually C. Dictionary attacks use predefined word lists, whereas hybrid attacks substitute numbers and symbols within those words. A hybrid attack is a variant on a dictionary attack. In this effort, you still have a word list. However, the cracker is smart enough to replace letters and characters within those words. For example, both attacks might use a list containing the word password. To have multiple variants on it, the dictionary attack would need to have each variant added to the list individually. Something like, P, the at symbol, the 0 for the O, etc. Right? Now, in a hybrid attack would require the word list only to include passwords because it would swap out characters and letters to find different versions of the same word. Question number 11. Which of the following contains a listing of port numbers for well-known services defined by the internet assigned network, internet assigned numbers net, whatever the always get messed up with the but anyway, so the IANA, and then here are the locations. The sorry, the window directories is basically the system 32, Windows system 32, where Windows is normally installed, although that could change, right? The correct answer here is C, right? So here is again, it's in the same location where the host's files reside that we talked about before, and it's basically this right there. Obviously, normally when you want to look at a list of services, you just go to Google and look for that. But hey, if you have no internet access or you're a geek, a nerd, and you want to look at the services here, then you can do that as well. So you can basically right click on it. You need to open this with something like Notepad, right? And there you go. So here you have a list of those ports. Probably seen port 80, right? 81 is for Kerberos. Anyway, so here is a list of ports that you can take a look at. And again, so that's what I was talking about. So You could find that there. We just said that as well. All right. Question 12. Which of the following SIDs indicates the true administrator account? Right? And the correct answer here is C. And the key over here is this number. Okay. The security identifier, or SID, in Windows is used to identify a security principal. It's unique to each account and service and is good for the life of the principal. Everything else associated with the account is simply a property of the SID, allowing accounts to be renamed without affecting their security attributes. In a Windows system, the true administrator, that means the original administrator that is created automatically, the account always has a relative identifier, or RID, as 500, which is this, right? That's why it's the correct answer. If you want to look at a list of all the accounts under SID, you can do that with PowerShell. If you right click on Start, and then open PowerShell as an administrator. If you type in this command, get AD user, and then you filter for all the accounts, and so that you don't get a whole bunch of things, you can select by name in SID. So here we go. And the true administrator is this one right here. And notice how that 800. Now, I do have other administrators account here, but those are accounts that I created afterwards, right? That's why they have other numbers. In this case, notice how you know, the other things over there in the 1000 right here. But the true administrator, the original account, it's that one over there. Question 13. In which step of EC Console systems hacking methodology would you find steganography? A, cracking passwords. B, escalating privileges. C, executing applications. D, hiding files. And E, covering tracks. This should be a very simple question to answer. Pretty sure that it's not going to be that easy. You can be sure of that. But anyway, steganography, it's a way of hiding files. That's the key point over here. So hiding files is exactly what it sounds like, right? Finding a way to hide files on the system. There are innumerable ways to accomplish this, but steganography is one method that you most likely see referenced on the exam. Steganography hides things such as passwords, files, or malicious code, and executable. That is, anything that can be put into a binary format inside images, videos, and other files. The other hiding technique you'll most likely see referenced on the exam is NTFS file streaming, right? Anyway, here it's an example. So for this, I just downloaded WinZip. You can just Google it up and look for WinZip. It's a very common compression utility. If you then, so I do have a folder with two files in it. These files could be anything, but just for the purpose of this demo, just, text one, text two, whatever. You are going to, those two files, right? You can see in the background there. You're going to compress that. So the folder is called lab1. So it's going to be compressed as lab1.zip. So if you right click on it, once you install this program, you can compress that. So you'll notice that I have now a folder on my C drive called lab1, which is compressed, and it has those two files, right? So I don't need these files anymore. I could delete this if I wanted to. But anyway, this one is called text1 and text2, and they're inside that. This could be anything. What I'm going to do is I am going to hide those two files into a picture, any picture. So here I have a picture. Go to the pictures folder. And actually what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this picture and I'm going to copy it into my lab1 folder. So I'm going to copy that over here. The picture is called Playa, which is, uh, a beach, right? So now, so I in the same in this lab1 folder, I got this picture file as well, right? Beautiful picture. I feel like going to the beach now. Anyway, summer is coming. So I have those files there. So if I go to a command prompt, first thing that I do here, I need to switch to this directory. So cd lab1. And then if I look into this directory, I can see those files that I was just showing you a minute ago, right? I got the lab1.zip file, the playa one, and then those other things over there. This command, this is what I need to do. So now I'm going to copy with the B switch this file, which is a picture, plus the compressed file, and I'm going to create another file, which is going to be a picture called lab.jpg. So I'm going to take these two files, I'm going to combine it, and I'm going to create a new picture. So now it's going to look like this. And the new file that I just created is this file that, if you look at the extension and the icon, it's just another picture, right? Similar to the original picture. So actually, if you open, this is the Playa 1 picture, and this is the now new modified picture with the files inside. It's called lab.jpg. They look exactly the same, right? Oh yeah, it's just a picture, right? But if I go to my programs in Windows and I open the file manager, the WinZip file that I downloaded for this, and if I open that up, right, and then I navigate to this file, I'm gonna open, right, that picture with this program, and as soon as I do, instead of opening a picture, this is what opens, right? Those two files that I hid into that picture, which basically could be anything. So think about all the cases that a cyber criminal can use this. People that deals with illegal stuff, right? You could also maybe transfer a password this way to somebody if you wanted to, and you don't want to send it, in an email. Anyways, I mean, but this is just a simple example of how steganography and techniques like that can be used to hide information in a file, in this case, in a picture. Question 14. A review of the command history on a Linux box showed the following command. So try to understand this command, but even if you don't know this command, there's a couple of things you can see. We're using the cat command, but pay attention to this. We talked about this password file many times. Which of the following is the best description of what the attacker is attempting to accomplish? A, add a user to the system. B, elevate current login privileges. C, change passwords for users. Or D, display passwords file contents. And the correct answer is actually D, displayed password file contents, right? This is the password file, which we have talked about. So vulnerable versions of the bash shell commonly used to, the bash shell commonly used to process requests to allow an attacker to execute arbitrary commands concatenated to the end of a function definition stored in environment variable. In this case, the attacker is trying to read the contents of the password file using the cat command. And again, so if you want to learn more about this shell shock vulnerability, which is a very famous bug in Linux. I'm I doubt that at any point any version of Linux is affected by that. But again, you never know. But you could Google and learn more about this if you are interested. That's why the reference there. Question 15. You are examining LM password hashes and see the following. Okay. This looks like the hash of a file. Which of the following password is most likely to have created the hash? And then here are the passwords. The correct answer is D. I hope that you have identified. I mean, actually, that's a rather easy question to answer if you understand LAN manager. So LAN manager splits any password into two 7-character pieces, and then the hashes hashes each piece. If the password is 7 characters or less, then the last half of the hash is always the value of a hash of nothing, which equates to this over here. So, this is the whole thing right there. In this question, apply the LM splitting of passwords into two separate. Just take a look at this, right? And then you'll see basically that this is the real password, which is 7 characters. So if we look at it, this is the only one that has 7 characters, right? So that's why I say, and basically this is nothing according to that. But anyway, so LM Manager. Even though nowadays Microsoft has a new version, this should not be around anymore, but there may be old systems out there, and especially for backward compatibility, where this used to be what makes Microsoft servers and computers with Windows very vulnerable when it comes to password cracking. Okay. Question 16. You are examining history logs on a Linux machine and note the attacker added an ampersand after a new process command. Which of the following statement is true regarding this? And the correct answer here is B. The ampersand symbol runs the process as a background task and closes it when the user logs off. So again, the ampersand is used in the Linux command line to place a process in the background and cause it to close a user log off. As an aside, you can use the BG, background and foreground commands, FG, to move process to the background and foreground respectively. Question 17. Which of the following are considered offline password attacks? Use all that apply. A. Using a hardware keylogger. B. Brute force cracking with Kane enable on a stolen SAM file. C. Using John the Ripper on a stolen password file. Or D. Shoulder surfing. And the correct answers here are A, B, and C. An offline password attack occurs when you take the password file or the passwords themselves offline for work. A common method involves stealing the SAM or the passwd, the shadow file, and then running a dictionary, hybrid, or brute force attack against it using password cracking tools such as Kane Enable or John the Ripper. Keyloggers are also considered offline attacks because you examine the contents of the network. Question 18. If a rootkit is discovered on the system, which of the following is the best alternative for recovery? Well, if you know a little bit about rootkit, you would know immediately that the answer is reloading the entire system from known good media. Rootkits are really nasty and really difficult to get rid of. So that would be the best thing. Now, that being said, if it is an off-the-shelf rootkit that has been documented, it is likely that Good instructions on how to fully remove it are available somewhere. But remember that while you think you may have it removed by following removal instructions, uh, you really know that it is gone if you blow the system away and reload it from known good backups or complete just reinstall Windows. Question 19. Examine the following portion of a log file captured during a hacking attempt. There are tons of questions on these security exams where you need to interpret this screenshot of logs or the output of a command or whatever. But so basically mean that you need to become familiar with using Kali Linux and understanding these logs and that kind of stuff, right? So A, um, so what was the attacker attempting to do? A, copy files for later examination, cover his tracks, change the shell to lock out other users, or upload a rootkit. Okay, and the correct answer here is B, covering his tracks. Right? If you know this command, the remove command in Linux, then you would that's a given right there. In this example, the rm command, the remove command, is used to remove or delete files on a Linux system. Looking at what the hacker is attempting to remove, it seems logical to assume that even without seeing the rest of the log, that the hacker is covering its tracks. And here it's some more context to what the rm dash rf command do. So just remove a file. You can remove several files at once. You can do verbose, remove files and stuff. You can remove entire directories, that kind of stuff. So important to understand commands like this for this exam. Okay, this is a screenshot of what it would look like in a Kali Linux. Question 20. You suspect a hack has occurred against your Linux machine. Which command will display all running processes for you to review? And this should also be an easy one. I mean, if you understand the ps command. So the answer would be ps-ef. The ps command is used in Linux to display processes. The E switch selects all processes, okay, whether running or not. The F switch provides a full listing, so that's why the EF, it's the best suited over there. The F switch again, and a couple of other options you might see would be the R, restrict output to the running processes. U, select by the effective user ID. Supports names, and then P, select by process ID. And again, so a command in Kali Linux would be something like this, just PS and then some switches. If you want help about any command in Linux, so the help switch is really great. So if you want to know how to use the PS command or any command, just type in PS space dash dash and then help. So you don't need to know everything, just know how to use help. Okay. Question 21. An organization wants to control network traffic and perform a stateful inspection of traffic going into and out of its DMZ. Which built-in functionality of Linux can achieve this? And the correct answer is A, IP tables. This should be an easy one as well. If you have studied the material. So IP tables is a built-in user space application in Linux that allows you to configure the tables used by the Linux kernel firewall. So this is kind of similar to the firewall in Windows. It must be executed with root privileges and allows for stateful inspection. On most Kali Linux systems, the IP tables is installed as USR, SBIN, and then IP tables folder. Okay. And so it is not installed by default in all versions of Linux. So if you need to install it, you need to run this command as sudo, right? And install that. There's a lot of configuration that can be done. If you want to see the current IP table status, you just type the sudo IP tables. This is a lowercase l, so remember that Linux is case sensitive, and then you can see everything there. It's a tutorial that you can go to. Anyways, you can. There's a video, you won't be able to click on that, but you can just search for that in Google, go to that page, and you can learn more about that. Question 22. Which of the following best describes Cwin? And the correct answer is A. Cwin is a Unix subsystem running on top of Windows. Okay, so if you go to the web page, cwin.com, basically it provides a Linux-like environment for Windows. It's basically a large collection of new and open source tools that provide functionality similar to a Linux distribution on a Windows. Anyways, so you can go to the website, not install it if you want to learn more about that. Question 23. Which folder in Linux holds administrative commands and daemons? The correct answer is A. sbin. The system binaries folder, or sbin, holds most administrative commands. The etc directory holds others, and it's the repository for most of the routines that Linux runs, known as daemons. The bin directory is incorrect because this folder holds a variety of basic Linux commands, a lot like the Windows System 32 folders in Windows. The dev directory folder contains the pointer locations to the various storage and input-output systems, and you will need to mount if you want to see them, such as optical drives and additional hard drives or partitions. By the way, everything in Linux is a file, right? The mount or MNT folder holds the access location that you've actually mounted, and the USR folder holds most of the information, commands, and files unique to users. In my Kali Linux, so again, if you open the file system, right? So here is the sbin, here is the etc, and then the dev, here is the bin, and there's a whole bunch of other things over there. Here it's the mount, right? That we just talked about. So, and then if you go inside the sbin, this is where, those daemons that we were talking about. Okay. More example there. Question 24. Which of the following is the appropriate means to pivot a victim within a Metasploit attack section? And the correct answer here is D. Create a root statement in meterpreter. Pivoting is the unique technique of using an instance, also referred to as a plant or foothold, to be able to move around inside a network, basically using the first compromise machine to allow and even aid in the compromise of other otherwise inaccessible systems. Metasploit has an auto route meterpreter script that allows an attack into a secondary network through a first compromised machine. Meter interpreter is an advanced dynamically extensible payload. My tongue there just kind of got twisted. Uses in-memory DL injection stages, and it's extended over the network at runtime. Meter interpreter resides entirely in memory and writes nothing for disk or to disk. Rather, adding a router statement inside the dynamic interpreter environment allows the attack to pivot to a new target. If you want to learn more about this, you can go to offensive-security.com. Actually, they have a great new page. It's a great resource for if you want to learn more about pen testing and offensive security, then this is a great place to be. Question 25. You are examining files on a Windows machine and note that one file's attributes include H. What does this indicate? That should be an easy one, right? The H is for hidden. So basically, this is the file is hidden. So it should be an easy one, right? In a command prompt, you can do this to hide a file. In Windows, you can just right click on it and then you can say hidden. And then, the hidden attribute can be set up on any file just to hide it from standard directory searches. Okay, so easy stuff there. Question 26. An attacker has gained access to an internal system. Using Metasploit, he accesses and attacks other internal system. Which of the following terms best describe the action taken? We just talked about this. This is pivoting. All right. So pivoting refers to attackers using a compromised system to access systems that they otherwise not be able to get to. And you can go directly into, this website right there to learn more about this. Okay. And this would be an example. So this is relatively similar to what is called a man in the middle, right? Well, yeah. So you have a hacker that's already compromised the system, right? The hacker does not have access to other systems, but from this system, then the hackers can go and access, let's say, domain controller, right? So that's basically what it is. You can go to that web page to get more information about that. Question 27. Which active online attack combines entries of one dictionary file with those of a second to generate new word lists for password cracking? And the correct answer here is a combinator attack. And what is a combinator attack? Well, it's an attack that makes the most that basically in a combinator attack, right? The first words from one dictionary file are combined with those from a second to generate a brand new word list, which is then used to help crack the passwords. So this page has a lot of information about this type of attacks if you want to learn more about it. Finally, last one in this chapter, which authentication method uses DES for encryption and forces a 14-character password for a hash storage? Obviously, hope that you don't have this. This is very old technology, very hackable. But anyway, the answer here is LAN Manager. We talked a little bit about LAN Manager already. But anyway, so LAN Manager is an older authentication model that burst onto the scene around the Windows 95 launch very long time ago. It uses DES as an encryption standard, which has been deprecated a long time ago, right? So blah blah blah. But anyway, so the new operating system uses Kerberos or the newer NTLM. Anyway, so in a Windows, if you open PowerShell or a command prompt and you type in K-list sessions, you can see all your passwords we're using. Now, it's important to note that the native administrative accounts you always uses the NTLM. Obviously, this is a newer version of NTLM that Microsoft obviously upgraded on the newest operating system. But most of this, negotiating and interactive basically means that those accounts are using Kerberos for authentication. All right, and so for backward compatibility, there may be still out there a lot of Windows machine that use NTLM. There are ways of how to disable that, and this document has information how to do that if you want to do that. All right, so this is the end of chapter 5, right? The review of this chapter for the CEH certification objective. So here we cover a whole bunch of questions from a whole bunch of topics, and I hope that this it's a step closer to your certification journey. Tune me in for the next chapter, and please don't forget to give me a like, write me a comment to help me with the motivation to continue doing this kind of stuff in the future. Thank you.